Welcome to the show, everybody. I am Benny Fluman, here with Daniel Weiss and Brian Newman. And Brian Newman, picture this. It is Tuesday morning. A founder publishes a LinkedIn post about hidden operational costs. It goes slightly viral. A VP of sales comments. A CFO likes it. A head of operations views their profile. 3 incredibly relevant buyers accept a connection request by noon.
And let me guess, it is now Friday and absolutely nothing has happened.
0. No conversation. No CRM entry. No pipeline. Just a dopamine hit and a bunch of notifications.
Congratulations to that founder. They just built an engagement graveyard. Because if you do not strike within the first 24 hours of that CFO hitting the like button, that signal is dead. Speed to lead is everything. You have to move while the pain is top of mind.
Wait, speed to lead? Brian, if you message a CFO 15 minutes after they like a post with a generic, "want to jump on a quick call," you are not capturing demand. You are actively destroying it. There is a context window you have to respect.
I am not saying send the generic pitch, Daniel. I am saying if a VP of sales leaves a comment on Tuesday and you wait until Thursday to analyze the context, they do not even remember what they commented on. The window is 24 to 48 hours, maximum. If you are not in their inbox by then, you are just a historian.
Okay, let's slow this down right here, because this tension is exactly why we are recording this. Welcome to episode 5 of the MATCH B2B Insights LinkedIn Revenue Engine series. In episode 3, we built the founder profile. In episode 4, we built the content engine. Today, we are tearing down the engagement graveyard. Because LinkedIn engagement is not pipeline. Follow-up is pipeline.
And Benny, the reason we call it a graveyard is because founders treat signals as the finish line. They look at 10,000 impressions and 40 likes and think marketing did its job. But if those 40 likes are not classified, triaged, and operationalized, you just did free PR for Microsoft.
Exactly. You generated relevance, and then you refused to convert it into a conversation.
So let's build the system that actually converts it. Brian, you run global SDR teams. You do not treat every like equally. Walk us through the 4 levels of signal classification.
4 levels. Level 1 is light awareness, a profile view, a single like on a post. Level 2 is contextual engagement. They comment, or they accept a connection request, or they react to 3 different posts in a single week. Level 3 is active conversation. They reply to a DM or ask a question. And Level 4 is commercial intent. They ask for pricing, request a case study, or register for a webinar.
Okay, so level 1, light awareness. A profile view or a like. What is the SDR action there?
If they fit the ICP perfectly, I am adding them to a watch list, and if they view the profile twice in 24 hours, I am sending a soft connection request.
Twice in 24 hours gets a connection request. Brian, that is incredibly aggressive. If a director of IT is just researching vendors and looks at your profile and you immediately pounce, you signal desperation. Level 1 should never trigger outreach, ever. It should trigger intelligence gathering.
Dan, if a director of IT at a 500-person logistics firm views your profile twice in one day, that is not an accident. That is a behavioral anomaly.
A 500-person logistics firm? That is an enterprise deal with a 6-month sales cycle. You do not rush a 6-month deal because of a profile view. You wait for a level 2 signal. You wait for context.
Let's make this concrete. Brian, give us a real B2B case study. Show us a level 2 signal, a comment, and exactly how your SDR handled it without ruining Daniel's precious context.
Gladly. 3 weeks ago, we had an Israeli cyber compliance client targeting the U.S. market. The founder posted about the hidden prep workload for SOC 2 audits. A VP of engineering at a Chicago-based SaaS company commented, "The prep isn't the issue, it's the internal review cycles." That is a level 2 signal.
So they explicitly told you the pain point. Internal review cycles.
Exactly. Now, a bad SDR sends, "Hey, saw you commented. Want to buy our compliance tool?" That kills it. Our SDR sent this exact message. "Notice your comment on the SOC 2 post. Curious, when you say internal review cycles, is the bottleneck getting engineering to submit the evidence or getting compliance to approve it?
Is the bottleneck engineering or compliance? That is a brilliant diagnostic question. It forces them to clarify the problem, not defend their budget.
Right. The VP replied 20 minutes later, getting engineering to submit it. They hate the portal. Boom! Level 3 active conversation. The SDR immediately replied, if the portal friction is the issue, we mapped out how to bypass the portal entirely using Slack integrations. Worth a 15-minute look? Meeting booked.
Meeting booked off a comment because you used the exact diagnostic tension they provided. That transition leads perfectly into the 3 follow-up paths. Daniel, you design these revenue architectures. Map the 3 paths for us.
Path 1 is insight continuation. This is for light engagement. You send another useful asset. No pressure. Path 2 is problem clarification. That is exactly what Brian's SDR just did with the SOC 2 example, asking a diagnostic question. Path 3 is call conversion, which you only deploy when there is explicit friction.
But here is the structural gap. Who is actually typing these messages? The founder's face is on the profile, but the SDR is running the system. Brian, how do you manage that transition without sounding like a bait and switch?
The SDR owns the execution, but they operate within the founder's voice. The SDR sits in the inbox, triages the comments, and sends the path to clarification messages. If it gets highly technical, the founder steps in, but the SDR owns the loop.
The SDR cannot own the loop if they do not understand the industry nuance. I have seen SDRs completely burn relationships with chief medical officers because they tried to execute a path to clarification and used the wrong terminology. If the ICP is C-level, the founder has to approve the specific messaging framework first.
I agree the framework needs founder approval, Daniel, but the founder cannot be the bottleneck for hitting that 24 to 48-hour window. If the founder is in back-to-back meetings on Wednesday and that VP of engineering commented on Tuesday, the SDR has to have the autonomy to send the clarification question.
And how do we ensure that context doesn't evaporate? Daniel, you always talk about CRM discipline. What is the one field everyone gets wrong here?
The signal topic field. Most companies log lead source, LinkedIn. That is useless. If someone commented on a post about SOC 2 internal review cycles, the CRM must explicitly say signal topic, SOC 2 internal review cycles. Because in 3 months, when that VP hasn't closed, your nurture sequence needs to reference that exact operational pain, not a generic newsletter.
Signal topic, SOC 2 internal review cycles. That is the anchor. If you don't have that in Salesforce or HubSpot, you are relying on an SDR's memory, and memory is not a scalable revenue engine.
Let's introduce the AI layer, because founders hear AI follow-up and immediately think of robotic spam bots. Daniel, how do we use AI in this middle layer between the marketing signal and the sales execution without sounding like ChatGPT?
You do not use AI to write the message. You use AI for signal detection and ICP scoring. If you have a post with 200 likes, an SDR cannot manually research 200 profiles in an hour. You pipe those profiles through an enrichment tool, feed it to an LLM, and prompt it. Score these 200 profiles against our ideal customer profile. Prioritize anyone holding a VP or director title in manufacturing companies with over $50 million in revenue.
Wait, over $50 million in revenue? That is the magic. AI filters the noise so the SDR only spends human capital on the 12 people who actually match historical win rates.
Exactly. AI gives the SDR a prioritized target list with a context summary. This person is a VP of supply chain. Their likely pressure is vendor consolidation. The SDR still makes the final judgment call on which question to ask.
Brian, challenge this. Can AI ever fully replace the SDR's judgment in that classification process?
No, absolutely not. Because AI doesn't understand ego. AI doesn't know that a chief information security officer responds terribly to being asked basic diagnostic questions that imply they don't know their own infrastructure. An SDR with emotional intelligence knows when to soften the language. AI can get you 80% of the way there, but the human SDR has to stick the landing.
The human sticks the landing. AI is the co-pilot that ensures the human has the exact flight coordinates before they open their mouth.
And that is how you turn a graveyard into a pipeline. Let's land this with 3 final takeaways. First, engagement is not pipeline. It is just a signal. Second, the 24 to 48 hour context rule. Brian, you were right, speed matters, but as Daniel said, it must carry the exact context of the engagement. And third, CRM ownership. If the signal topic is not logged, the context disappears forever.
If you are not tracking the topic, you are just collecting names.
The most important question is never how many likes did we get. It is which relevant buyers signaled interest and what is the exact next diagnostic move.
Exactly. Now, if your LinkedIn activity is creating engagement, but not enough qualified conversations, this middle layer is usually where your system is leaking. You can WhatsApp or call me directly at 052-420-3043. That is 052-420-3043. We will map where your follow-up system is breaking and how to fix it.
Do it. Stop leaving money in the comments section.
Well said. In episode 6, we are diving into personal branding versus the company page. What belongs where and how to make them work together. Thanks for listening to Match B2B Insights. We will see you in the next one.